Chinua Achebe was one of the greatest African writers of the 20th century. Born in Nigeria in 1930 to an Igbo family, he grew up immersed in both his people's ancestral traditions and the strong presence of British colonization. He graduated from University College in Ibadan and worked as a broadcaster and professor. With his writing, Achebe pioneered bringing the African perspective on the impacts of European colonialism. His best-known work, Things Fall Apart, published in 1958, launched modern African literature with a narrative that broke Eurocentric paradigms and revealed to the world the depth of African cultures. The story of Things Fall Apart takes place in the fictional village of Umuofia, located in pre-colonial Nigeria, and follows the journey of Okonkwo, a feared and respected warrior known for his strength and moral rigidity. As the son of a lazy and failed man, Okonkwo spends his life trying to prove his masculinity and honor, distancing himself from anything that resembles weakness. The village operates based on a complex system of beliefs, rituals, justice, and communal organization, until the arrival of Christian missionaries and colonial authorities begins to destabilize its structures, creating internal conflicts and radically altering daily life. More than recounting cultural and political invasion, the book dives into the psychological conflicts of its characters. Okonkwo represents the rigidity of a world that refuses to change, while his son, Nwoi, represents the youth that finds meaning in the new faith brought by the missionaries. The tension between past and future, between collective and individual, runs throughout the narrative, culminating in a tragic and symbolic ending. The novel shows how violent rupture between ancient traditions and external impositions leads not only to cultural collapse but to personal and spiritual disintegration. Achebe's writing is marked by elegant simplicity and a deep respect for the Igbo oral tradition. Although written in English, the book incorporates proverbs, rhythms, and imagery typical of African speech, creating a unique literary style. This linguistic fusion is also a form of resistance. By writing in English with an African soul, Achebe dismantles the colonizers' logic that denied the intellectual depth of African peoples. The author shows that it is possible to tell one's own story using the colonizers' language while maintaining the identity and worldview of the colonized. Things Fall Apart is one of the most important works of African and world literature. Translated into over 50 languages, it is required reading in schools and universities around the globe. With this book, Chinua Achebe initiated a new literary tradition, opening paths for other African writers. The book remains current because it deals with universal issues: the conflict between tradition and change, the struggle for identity, the clash between cultures, and the deep effects of historical oppression. It is essential reading for anyone seeking to understand Africa beyond stereotypes. To conclude, these are the 5 main characteristics of the book Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Authentic portrait of Igbo culture. The book richly details the customs, beliefs, rituals, and social organization of the Igbo people, portraying a vibrant village full of ancestral wisdom and complexity. Conflict between tradition and colonialism. The story explores the impact of Christian missionaries and colonial power on African life, disrupting spiritual and social bonds and imposing a new, often violent, order. Tragic and symbolic protagonist. Okonkwo is a deeply human character, strong yet fragile. His inflexibility in the face of change symbolizes the suffering of cultures that cannot adapt to the violence of colonization. Hybrid and poetic narrative style. Though written in English, the novel embraces African orality with proverbs and imagery that give the text rhythm and authenticity rooted in Igbo tradition. Historical and literary significance. Things Fall Apart founded modern African literature. It was one of the first books to offer the African viewpoint on colonialism and has become a global reference in literature. This was our summary of the book Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. We hope it was helpful.